On today's Minute of the Apes, we're doing this episode over.
Keep your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
What is the divine bomb?
They are the good human and the dead human! There is fire, there is smoke. Now fight the apes! A minute of 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 the apes!
Hello and welcome to Minute of the Apes, the daily podcast where we break down every minute of the Planet of the Apes movies 1 minute at a time, or sometimes we do it twice.
Maybe 3 times. 4th for an opening. Who knows?
So I'm going to do my best not to have my anger voice going on. And this was simply that, at the end, and I want Richard to hear this. This is not your fault. It's my pushing the buttons fault. He took a little longer than he usually does to say, bye, everybody. And that's such a staple of what we do that I thought, fine, I'll just cut it here in GarageBand, which is what we use. And before anybody texts me and goes, yeah, you ought to try this app. This is a company issued laptop. What I can get on it is very controlled. And so it's what I can get. GarageBand sucks because it does not have a history window that I can find that actually lets you go back to something, and we lost a recording. So here we go. We're going to do probably one of the silliest minutes of the whole thing. We're going to do it over.
That's right.
And we're going to try and sound enthused about it for a second time. So minute 98, Sean, tell us what's going on.
Okay, Man 98 starts with Thade rising to meet the mystery and ends with something emerging from the pod.
All right, here we go again with minute 98.
As Min 98, we have an Oberon's worth of apes and humans, 2 displaced pods worth of humans and apes, so many wild humans and Ape City minus 2 gorillas, and a pause in the battle.
So minute 98, visually we get Thade looking up, camera left to right. As he sees the descending star, we get over a gorilla's shoulder, paw extended so as to blind themselves from the shining light in the sky. Leo looks up. What could that be? Atar stands around a group of apes and watches it descend as the star vanishes, and it becomes the thruster of one of the pods. This pod begins to land. Thade looks to it. Wrong camera direction. He is now looking right to left. We've once again broken the rules. Leo comes forward, and I'm going to jump to something that took us a full minute of discussion last time to say. Leo sees it's a pod and has a look of, huh? So Leo watching this pod land, the pod lands. All the apes are basically standing in a circle around it, watching it. Wide shot, we see all the humans and apes who were fighting. There's no fighting going on anymore. Everyone's simply watching as the door opens. We see a little bitty something in a spacesuit exposed as the door opens and it begins to push out. So trying to keep our enthusiasm doing this twice. And I think each of us, I think there were some good points that we did before. So let's try to remember those things and point to each other about different things. But we begin with Thade looking up into the sky because the sonic boom has got his attention.
Yeah, but why does he let Leo go? Why does he not keep a foot on Leo, keep him on the ground? While
Slap him one more time.
Yeah, a last punch, a dismissive punch as he looks up.
But instead, he's simply looking, basically all but moving away. And then we see Leo rolling up. Atar looks and everything. And this is something we went on a little bit last time. And I'm going to bring it in here. The star. We called it a star fart. It is.
from the first movie.
You go back to when Sean and I did this before Richard became a part of it. We called those bursts of light that you saw during the title sequence starfarts, because they just, and I'm sure for that time they were groundbreaking, cool looking, but it just came across as, what is that? Why is this a star refracted light off of a thruster from a pod? Why?
To build some mystery, but then
We're not
then
supposed to know what it is. Yeah, we're gonna
it's
find
not going to be a
out.
mystery anymore. I mean, we're just kind of ending complete battle for something that is now dropping out of the sky
Conveniently.
They didn't do that with the flare. Right.
Yeah, the flare went over the battleground and they all kind of went, huh?
The flare went over their campsite that one evening, a pitch black night, and there was just kind of a pause as they look up, and nobody really reacted to much. But it's caused everybody to stop. I wanted them to all react somewhat differently. I wanted somebody to kind of cower. I wanted somebody to run away. I wanted something to do, but it just kind of arrests everything in this moment. And honestly, when we look at Atar, he's not even looking up. He's just looking across.
True. And something that we said last time that could have been interesting, to your point of there should be differing reactions to, instead of just blanket awe. Atar should have been at the back of the battle, walking through. As people ran away from it, he should be the one brave enough to come forward, especially with what we're going to see in the coming moments.
Right.
It actually would have lent into how he reacts better.
And we could have had there's a little moment as he's kind of staring off into space where the gorillas behind him are kind of cowering just a little bit. But imagine all of them cowering as he walks forward
Pushes
with
through.
purpose, right, as he
Right.
stands. And it gives us a sense that they're all afraid of whatever this could potentially be. And he is being the commander or the leader and kind of moving into, or the general moving into this moment to either confront this threat, or he's unafraid. I mean, he gives him that much more power if he could do that.
Isn't that the best thing you want out of a leader? Define to me who you are. Are you the brave one that steps forward of your troops and is like, I'll do it? Or are you the one that cowers back and sends somebody to it? But it says something about that character either way.
What if they were to cower and he were to grab a weapon and continue to move with purpose
True.
as he grabbed a weapon from one of his
True.
other gorillas that is now cowering?
But we've also seen him be overly religious. He's perhaps... Is he, of the apes, is he the most religious we've seen?
But yeah, bow your head.
Bow your head, all kneeling before Seamus in the tent. So maybe he is such a zealot that he's stepping forward. He thinks the descending light. Why do I keep wanting to say descending? And that's an entirely different word. Descending light is something heavenly.
Possibly, but I mean, maybe he would drop the weapons and the hands would come to his side as he walks toward it, prepared to humble himself or pray or something
Right.
along those lines, and he would drop his weapon but still continue to move forward.
Shouldn't we have, if this is going to be his response, is to walk forward at the thing descending from the heavens, should he not, in all his religious moments, said, and one day Seamus will descend from the heavens and lead us to the promised land? Should he not have said that so that as he walks forward, that previous thought is here and it explains him?
I mean, we might
Something like that?
we might get into that at some point, but yeah, there should be some type of conversation. It also causes Thade to just completely stop, and we've never. How about this? You and bring this up when we had the first recording. Thade has already seen the wreckage of something coming through the forest
True.
and killed 2 people by it. This should not surprise him.
No.
Everybody else.
In fact, it should worry him.
Yeah. I mean,
More humans are coming.
Yeah.
So, but his reaction is none. And then we talked about Leo's reaction, which was, you should know what this is.
Okay, so to that point, so we get the weird that the starburst goes away at roughly about 14 seconds is when it vanishes, and it becomes the output of a thruster, which at that point is not even putting anything out, not even a air cushion to keep it flying. Leo then steps in right after having seen it. It is visible to everyone. Am I incorrect? I mean, am I correct on that?
No,
Right.
everybody can see it.
They can see this pod, and Leo steps in, and he just has a look on his face that I don't think you can interpret any other way than what's going on. Like uncertainty. That is not a thank God that the cavalry's coming.
I mean, we don't live in this world, and we know what that is.
Yeah.
He should really
Really
know
be
what that is
excited,
because
yeah.
he can fly it.
So in the first recording, one of the things I think the three of us really found that I think is the truth is that we know what it is. Oh, shit, I almost fell. We also know what's probably inside of it. because they've given us nothing to divert our attention. Sean had a great idea.
Yeah, they should have, whenever Leo was watching the video recordings earlier, there should have been a clip that said, we sent out more pods to try to find Davidson. Some came back, some didn't. We never found him or something like that. So you assume maybe this is one of those rescue pods with a human in it coming together.
And again, to use it again, it's a red herring simply to divert your attention so that when it happens, you're at least thinking something else.
Right. I mean, this is going in a very, very obvious path. We talked about, I mean, we've suggested we wanted Atar moving towards it. We wanted Leo excited and potentially moving towards it as well. And I need Thade to do some type of reaction that lets me know that he's not afraid of it, but he needs to figure out how to get power back. Like, I need these pieces, these chess pieces, to move in such a way. We don't need to see Ari or Dana again. Everybody else is dead. I mean, I don't think anybody else is alive at this point.
If you had Thade punch Leo
With
at the
Limbo,
first,
we don't know where Limbo is.
Oh, true.
if you had Thade punch Leo at the first of it, if we put that in, at this point, I could see Leo being like, "Fuck you, bitch," and walking by and shouldering him a bit as he walked by.
Something along
back
those
and
lines.
forth. These characters have had
Antagonistic relationship.
because the movie conveniently wants them to, but still there should be some reaction between the two. Or he should look very, cavalierly like, "Dude, I told you that you're full of shit." He should say something. This is another place where dialogue should occur, but everyone just exists in awe.
Everyone exists in awe. Thade is not necessarily in awe. Thade has just stopped fighting because everybody else has stopped fighting.
Right.
If we had the moment where Atar's guerrillas were to kneel because they were afraid or cower because they were afraid, if the people around Thade were to cower and he realized the battle had just changed because of it, that might influence him somewhat to stop, or at least to try and begin to figure out what else to do. I mean, it'd be interesting to see Thade even walk into the Oberon or something. I don't know, just give him some motion.
Yeah, that'd be interesting if he backed away, because he's seen the devastation of something coming through there. He knows what this is. His father even gave him the gun. He knows he should be worried. If anything, maybe he's backing
He
away. from the
moves
battle.
into the shadows.
Yeah, like
That'd
steps
be
away.
great. Yeah.
But another thing that I didn't even catch before when we recorded it, another thing that's very bothersome, and this is truthful, something with a jet propulsion as it descends.
Blowing shit away.
Well, it's blowing the sand, and no one reacts.
Nobody's covering their
If
eyes.
I'm in a sandstorm, I'm like, that hurts. And monkeys, just like us, have eyes that are open. They don't have secondary eyelids.
No
Sand in them would
nictitating
hurt.
membranes.
So the fact that none of them, they kind of do. One of them shrieks a little bit, but I don't know that that's because of the dust.
And we don't really get any shot. We get shots of crowds of humans and apes moving away from the pod as it begins to open, but we've largely seen just shots of apes when we actually get to kind of those shots of 3 and 4 groupings. We don't see the humans kind of reacting to this either. So when we get closer to like 50 seconds, 55 seconds, the pod itself begins to open, but we see joint forces, mobile, something, whatever that is, exploration unit A. And if we're paying attention to those details, we would recognize
The pod.
who or what this is.
Yeah.
Well,
It says, hang on.
it says being it who.
The pod.
The pod.
Oh, okay.
Joint forces, mobile.
Research Station, Exploration Unit A.
Okay.
Oh, I see what you're looking at now.
And it's got the U.S.
Oberon.
Yeah, it's
And that's with the symbol there. You can really tell if you took off the wings off of that.
Right.
That's the brand.
That is the brand.
I'm not expecting a surprise out of this moment. I'm kind of disappointed by that.
And you said in the first one, I think the three of us have learned each, what we like, what we dislike. I know that I wasn't surprised when you said that with sci-fi films, you're willing to give them a pass a lot of the times.
Was it this last minute we talked about which movies you'd walked out of? Was it this minute or the minute before?
It may have been that when we teased that we talked about, because this to me, I didn't walk out of this movie when I saw it, but were I to see it now, I would be on the precipice of like, this is horseshit. What you're introducing here is so on the nose. And I'd said that I walked out of Roadhouse, the Patrick Swayze film, when I was a kid. And what was yours that you?
Van Helsing.
Yes. And we've since both watched it. And it's just a train wreck of a film, but it's one of those actually now if it's on HBO or something, I'll leave it on the background because it's just a garbage pile.
When I've watched Van Helsing and had a good time laughing at it. But
Yeah.
I got 2/3 of the movie. I'm like, oh, this is bad.
Yeah,
this
it's
is
bad.
really bad.
And Sean, you walked out of one, right?
No, I had a friend that walked out of Oscar.
Oscar, that's right. So, I mean, it would take a lot. Again, the things that you learn from these things is like what we talked about last time. What works, what doesn't. This moment doesn't tell me anything new about my story. I am wasting a minute.
And it's an entire pause in all of the action with no awe as to what's about to happen.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. There's no mystery. There's no curiosity. There's no awe. It's just a pause. Everything just stopped. It's a quiet moment with nothing really, with no anticipation for what's about to happen. Like I don't like.
You know, I don't really give a shit what other critics say about films. They may tell me whether I want to spend the money in the theater or not, but I went to Rotten Tomatoes simply so I could pull up a lot, and it only has 44% approval by critics. This one from the BBC critic, a lightweight, slight movie which only looks savagely convincing. I think that may be the most on-point thing that anyone could say. It looks like it should be a Planet of the Apes movie. It feels like it should be that. There is zero thought beneath it beyond that. And this minute completely says that.
I talked about in the previous minute how the fact that there's been no real dialogue between the characters for 10 minutes.
Right.
And this is just only adding to the fact that there's been no dialogue. Nobody's talking. Nobody's saying anything to one another. Nobody's reacting in such a way. They're just these poor actors in monkey suits and human actors in, bad rag bikini, whatever they are, had to stand here for 4 hours for these shots, and it with nothing to do. I'd be bored. My feet would hurt.
You got paid.
Okay, you got paid, but that I was just talking to a friend the other day. There are jobs in the world you get paid, and are they fulfilling? This would not be one of those.
There better be
fulfilling
craft services in that shuttle. That's all I'm saying.
All right,
sandwiches.
I'd like to say thank you to you both that while dealing with the technical snafu. This is probably, when this is released, this will be around our 700th-ish episode, somewhere
It's
in
our
there.
first time we've really had a major problem.
We have lost things before. We lost one before, and that was when I was learning how we were
That
going
was
to do
an
things.
in-between, though, wasn't it?
No. We did lose an in-between, but actually that had an audio snafu that I didn't catch in it. No, we lost an episode a ways back when we were recording at Zeus, and I made us record it. But this is the first one we've been doing it that the software just completely shit the bed. I'm even thinking through how I'm going to save this and it won't ever happen again. But thank you both for enduring this with me and talking about this lovely minute of this lovely film over again.
Boys.
Okay, I'm going to do this. Are
gonna
you ready?
save it?
Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to do the outro. You're going to say your lines, and before I do anything, I'm going to save the project
we go.
again to make sure we don't lose it. So, with all of that said, everyone, have a great day.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Come